Welcome to the Nathan Crane Podcast. Nathan is a certified holistic cancer coach, 20-time award-winning documentary filmmaker, competitive CrossFit athlete, and best-selling author of Becoming Cancer-Free. With nearly 2 decades in independent natural health research and education, Nathan shares his top solutions for preventing and overcoming disease while optimizing health and improving human performance. Each week, Nathan brings on highly renowned experts to share natural and holistic health science, strategies, and breakthroughs for living your healthiest, happiest, and most fulfilling life. And now, here's Nathan Crane.
Hello. Welcome to the podcast. I am super excited to have Sylvie Beljanski joining us today. Sylvie is somebody who I now consider a friend and a colleague, somebody who has an incredible, fascinating past and is doing revolutionary work today in furthering scientific research for cancer, specifically natural solutions for cancer. Sylvie's a French lawyer by trade. She's a holistic health advocate, and she is a member of the Holistic Leadership Council and the author of the award-winning book titled Winning the War on Cancer. She's the founder of the Beljanski Foundation, which is a nonprofit that I'm also very honored to be on the board of directors of, where we conduct scientific research into natural plant extracts to determine their anti-cancer and their health-promoting properties. She started the foundation back in 1999 to further her father's cancer research. This October, together, Sylvie and I have partnered through the Beljanski Foundation and my company, Healing Life, to produce the first ever Beljanski Integrative Cancer Conference. It's a really powerful weekend conference, bringing together hundreds of people from around the world to learn from over 24 of the top cancer experts on the planet. The conference will be a life-changing experience infused with music and entertainment, medicinal movement, comedy, fundraising, inspiring presentations, cutting-edge anti-cancer education and technologies, vendors, and much more. You can learn more about it and get your in-person tickets. If you're coming to Jacksonville, Florida, I highly recommend coming in person. Or you can live stream it. All those tickets are available at integrativecancerconference.com, integrativecancerconference.com. And just super excited, Sylvie, to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you.
You know, there's so much to talk about, and you have been helping move forward this really important conversation backed by science and the health advocacy of natural and holistic and integrative solutions for cancer for a long time. And really it started with your father, right? I mean, he was really the inspiration for you to do the work that you do now?
Yes, indeed. He was a molecular biologist. He was working in Paris, France at the Pasteur Institute. And he was really at the forefront of this movement back in the 80s to look at natural solutions rather than just drugs that can be patented to find a solution to cancer. He was also one of the first scientists to consider that cancer was not just a genetic disease, and that there were other causes than just a random mutation that could induce cancer. Of course, mutation can occur, and that happens sometimes, but it's only 7 to 8% of cancers who result from just a genetic mutation. Everything else comes from a disturbance, a toxicity of our environment and environment at large. Everything that we breathe, eat, but also our emotions, everything can disturb our DNA. And my father made really the link. He made the observation, the scientific observation, the scientific measurement between destabilization of the DNA and cancer. Made the observation that for every cancer, whether it is a plant, an animal, a human, you have this destabilization of the DNA, meaning the two strands of the DNA are not kept together as they should, and in a nice ellipse, but they are distorted, have big loops. And it is inside those big loops that replication hormones engulf themselves, and that lead to increased duplication of cancerous cells. So that's really the hallmark of cancer. Then my father went on to say, well, how can we fight that? Is there ways to prevent this kind of thing to happen once he had understood what was going on? And he looked at natural solutions, and he found a number of natural solutions, which he studied extensively, and was able to show that there are natural compounds out there which are available and not too expensive, and are able to fight cancer cells, different kinds of cancer cells. It doesn't matter if it is man, woman, if it is prostate, breast, ovarian, pancreatic cancer, and able to do that without toxicity, and also showing a nice synergy of action with a number of chemotherapies. So he spoke at large about those compounds, got the interest of a number of French doctors, and more people in France started to take those products. And at some point, the French president, François Mitterrand, back in the early 90s, started to take those products, and against all odds was able to finish his second term, although he had been diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. And the surgeon said that he was not going to finish his second term, and the country should prepare for early elections. And against all odds, Mitterrand finished his second term. So that really brought my father's work under the radar and scrutiny of the government, of official people who really did not like the idea that it was kind of official recognition of natural medicine. And soon after the passing of Mitterrand, finally, they sent a SWAT team to destroy my father, destroy his laboratory, destroy every evidence of this work and how this work could make a difference in people's lives. And
that's crazy. So for people who don't know, your father is Mirko Beljanski. That name may ring a bell for some people. If you've looked into his work at all or his story. If you look him up, it's funny because if you look up his career on Wikipedia, he has a really small Wikipedia page, and they basically just say, yeah, he found these natural plants that were helping fight against cancer. He believed that they were better than the drugs. Even the French politicians, were starting to support him or whatever. And then he was forced, here's what they say, he was forced to a retirement or to an early retirement, something like that. And then they say, and then they say he died of cancer in early 90s, right? And that was it. That's all they say about that whole thing. It's like a few paragraphs and that's it.
Well, Wikipedia is well known. If you look at several figures, important figures in the realm of natural medicine, they all have either extensive negative pages or small neutral pages at best. Wikipedia doesn't like anything natural. I don't know if they have big donors in the within pharmaceutical companies. I don't know exactly how it works, but the result is there. They don't like natural medicine, and you would not find a positive page for natural medicine luminaries on Wikipedia. So actually having a neutral page, short, is kind of achievement.
Right. That's what it's like. It's crazy. I'm going to look up and see if I can find out how many pharmaceutical companies donate to Wikipedia on a regular basis, because I would not doubt it that all of them do. But you're saying the full story is the French government sent in a SWAT team to his laboratory.
SWAT team. It was crazy with dogs, helicopters. I mean, like if it was a big operation. And the entire thing was a secret of defense operation. So it was very difficult to have all the information. Everything was censored. It's only because I have a background as a lawyer that I was able to access the defense file, and that's where I saw an order to destroy all evidence before trial. And there was no
you
trial
read
date.
so you read the order. You actually read the order. You saw the order to destroy all the evidence. And who wrote this order? Who did it come from?
And an official police officer in charge of the inquiry.
So the order came from him, but you don't know who the upper person was that ordered them to do.
Who gave him the order? Absolutely.
You don't know.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And but that's what started me. And I, as a lawyer, said, why are they trying to destroy the evidence? What is a cover-up here? And then that's when you want to start digging and understanding, of course, what happened. And that's where I started to understand the importance of my father's discoveries. And I felt that they belong to the world, and that has to be saved. And I started this non-for-profit here in New York in 1999 to carry on with this legacy. And at the beginning, the idea was just to get confirmation, scientific confirmation of this work. After all, I mean, science is all about reproducibility. You have scientific results are only valid if you can reproduce them. And over the years, and we were very lucky, we were able to work with academic institutions like Columbia University, Kansas University Medical Center. We had a clinical trial with Cancer
Society? Society?
No. A big chain of hospitals, whatever. We have been working with a number of reputable American institutions, and they not only were able to confirm my father's results, but they were able to take them a step further and get very, very interesting new results and data, all with those little natural extracts that my father had perfected.
So since your unfortunate father's passing, now did he actually die from cancer, or what happened there?
Yes, what happened is when he got arrested, they told him, instead of bringing them right away to the judge, they told him to stay in the lab overnight. They said, it's too late to take you to the judge. We'll do that tomorrow morning. And they actually radiated the lab. They brought a number of people who were dressed like for going to the moon, and who spread God knows what, because nothing about this spraying was in the legal file. They sprayed the laboratory.
They sprayed the laboratory with something,
with something.
How do you know that they sprayed the laboratory with something?
Oh, because there came several people with sprays. I mean, all the witnesses told me. I have witnesses But I don't have any information about that in the legal file.
Okay, so people that were working at your father's lab at the time or were there in
Yes.
person or whatever, they saw people come in hazmat suits and be spraying down the entire lab with something.
And they ordered my father to stay there overnight.
He stayed in the lab overnight?
Yes.
While
yes.
after they sprayed it with who knows
Yes.
what.
Yes.
This is crazy. This story is so crazy. It's like out of a terrible movie, spy movie or something, you know?
And 2 months later, my father was really healthy until then, started to have acute myeloid leukemia. And his products were no longer available because the police had seized everything.
Wow.
There was nothing left.
Hey, I just want to take a quick second and thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you're enjoying it so far. As a special thank you for tuning into this episode, I want to give you my #1 Amazon best-selling book absolutely free. You can go download it right now at becomingcancerfree.com. If you want to learn evidence-based strategies for helping your body become a cancer-fighting machine for not only cancer reversal, but cancer prevention, go grab a copy of the book. Again, I'm just giving it to you for free. You can go download it at becomingcancerfree.com. All right, let's get back to the show. That's crazy.
So that's where I started to do my best to produce from here, from New York, as quickly as possible to send him something that could help him. But just by the time it takes to start the production, it was too late to save him.
Wow. I'm sorry.
I took the case to the European Court of Human Rights.
Mm-hmm.
And the French government has had absolutely nothing to say for their defense. So they started as many legal shenanigans they could to delay the decision for 4 years. But in the end, we won an unanimous decision, Beljanski against France, because they had nothing to explain what happened.
And so when you say you won in court, what exactly were the charges that you had pressed against them, and what did you win? What was the outcome?
Well, what we won is that they did not do anything to give my father his day in court. They just indicted him, and they waited and waited until he passed away.
Wow.
Without any day of judgment, like actually they knew he was going to pass away. And that brings us to this mysterious spraying in the laboratory.
That's such a sad story. I mean, here's your father basically working to cure cancer and make it affordable and accessible to everybody. And, the government comes in and basically kills him and wipes him out and destroys the evidence.
Yes.
And you win it and prove in court and don't even give him his day in court. And, man, thank God that you had the courage to pick up where he left off.
They destroyed the evidence. They destroyed the man. They did not provide any explanation before the Court of Human Rights.
Wow. Now, didn't you have access to some of his writings and journals and things, and that's where you learned about what he was working on?
So, thanks God, I had my mom. And my mom had been working along with my father. She was actually his assistant in the lab for almost 50 years. And she helped me to understand. It was all new for me. I did not have any scientific background, but once I understood the importance of those discoveries, I made a point to understand and then to carry further the appropriate research programs. I hired a PhD with a background similar to my father, Dr. John Hall, and he's a research director at the Beljanski Foundation, and he's the one who has made a liaison with a number of academic institutions so we could carry on those scientific programs. And I have to say that I am most proud of the work done by the Beljanski Foundation over the years. Every program has led to peer-reviewed publications, and we make all those peer-reviewed publications available to all to read on the website of the foundation, which is beljanski.org, beljanski.org. So everybody can have access to this research and learn from that and download the publications and start a conversation with their doctor, because sometimes, you know, doctors say, oh, don't take anything with chemotherapy, don't take anything natural, stop every herb, every supplement. And in fact, there are scientific publications which have been reprinted by NIH who are all about the synergy of action between those natural compounds and various chemotherapies. So that's, I think, something important to know, and it's available.
So, talk a little bit about the plants that your father studied and that you went on to continue studying, and then producing these scientific research papers on and have published in, you know, peer-reviewed journals. There's a few main plants that he took a very special interest in, right? And since then, there have been dozens of studies on these, on different types of cancer and different types of mechanism of action of how they either induce apoptosis and help kill cancer cells, or help, you know, reduce or slow angiogenesis and help stop the spread of cancer. A lot of different mechanisms of action, you know, immune enhancement, et cetera, et cetera. Talk a little bit about what are those plants and why, if you know why, he took a really special interest in just these ones. Because we know a lot of plants today have certain, you know, a combination of mechanisms of action against cancer. I mean, we know that nature, through so many different plants, have flavonoids and antioxidants and sulforaphane, for example, in green, dark leafy green vegetables, cruciferous vegetables that help fight against cancer, and certain compounds in mushrooms. And we know so many plants, but these are really, I never even knew of these plants until I learned about the Beljanski Foundation, at least two of them. I knew about the green teas, the very specific green teas. I've looked at a lot of that research, but these other two plants were very new for me, you know, a few years back. Yeah. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I told you about how my father made the link between DNA destabilization and cancer. So he was able to measure the degree of destabilization of the DNA, and then compare that with the activity of specific compounds to see if that was effective at preventing the growth of synthesis of cancer DNA. And having that done, he was able to screen for a number of compounds and see how effective they were at preventing, at inhibiting the development of cancer DNA, the rate of synthesis of cancer DNA. And he wanted a compound that would be selective, meaning would not fuel also cancerous cells, would only attack cancerous cells and have no effect on healthy DNA. No effect on healthy DNA. That's the selectivity of action is really the hallmark of my father's research. Only compounds that attack cancerous cells and have no effect on healthy cells. Because if you have no, if you do not attack healthy cells, then you have no toxicity. You eliminate the product within a matter of hours. And no toxicity was something very, very important for my father. So he focused his research on very potent natural compound with no toxicity to healthy cells. And he first focused on kind of well-known back in the 80s plant extract called Revolfia vomitoria. At the time, it was used for blood tension and treating hypertension, but there were some reports that it could induce breast cancer. So my father looked into that and he found that within the Revolfia vomitoria extract, which was at the time on the market, there were two alkaloids, one that was indeed very favorable and had anti-cancer properties, and one that could induce cancer. So he eliminated alstonine, he eliminated reserpine, which he thought was responsible for breast cancer, and he only used Revolfia extract devoid of reserpine and rich in alstonine. And that Revolfia extract devoid of reserpine has proven to be extremely effective against a number of cancerous cell lines and no toxicity on healthy cells. But the purification from the reserpine is a big project, very messy and very expensive. So he looked if he could find another compound, another molecule that would be similar in his chemical, if the molecule could be similar to alstonine, and that's how he found flavopererine. And flavopererine comes from a bark of a tree in the Amazon rainforest and called Pao perera. And what is beautiful also with those two compounds is that they are coming from nature and also extremely sustainable in their sourcing. The Revolfia vomitoria grows like weeds in Africa. And the Pao perera, because you only take the bark of the tree, if you leave at least 20% of the bark on the tree, it will regrow by itself. So it is really an image of nature's bounty to give us those compounds and in a very sustainable way, knowing that they destroy a large number of cancerous cells without toxicity, without side effects.
So Revolfia vomitoria, even if you go to WebMD, for example, which is not generally very friendly for natural plant medicine, but I found this really fascinating. Even on WebMD, for example, they say right here, contains chemicals that lower blood pressure, kill cancer cells and bacteria, and help with brain function. Right here, kill cancer cells. I mean, for WebMD to say that about a plant is actually pretty fascinating. Now, the precautions they say it could possibly be unsafe because it could have side effects.
Yes, because indeed there is a long story from the 80s with a reserpine.
Reserpine. How do you spell reserpine? What is that?
Reserpine.
Okay. Yep. I remember reading about that a couple of years ago.
So reserpine has been linked. It's the main alkaloid of Revolvia. So that's the one which is traditionally associated to Revolvia vomitoria. And it is the one that my father deemed to be toxic and to induce cancer. So that's the one we remove from the Revolvia vomitoria, that extracts that we use now for research. And when you have a Revolvia extract with no reserpine but rich in alstonine, which is a secondary alkaloid of Revolvia vomitoria, then you have these wonderful properties of killing cancerous cells. And we have been able to work on prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, with different universities, and all that has been published. So now it's available, and I believe that's why even WebMD is acknowledging those results.
So if someone just wants to go out and buy Revolvia vomitoria, they have to be really careful in using it, because large doses could possibly have serious side effects if it has the alkaloid reserpine in it, which it generally will, unless it's an extract from the plant where that's been removed, just as your father has done.
Absolutely. So it's really important to look for something reserpine free.
Now, Revolvia vomitoria, is there? I've searched before. Is there like a common? I know this is a plant that's common, like you said, it grows like a weed in Africa. Is there a common name for it? It's such a tongue twister name and hard for people to remember. Is there a more common name for it that you know of? Because I couldn't find one.
No, I don't think there is.
Like you have, for herbs, it's like you got cilantro, chickweed, oregano, simple names,
I know, but no, unfortunately not for this one.
So I think you need to come up with a name for it and coin the name for it, and give it a new name. I think you deserve the crown to rename this plant with a common name.
That's an idea.
It needs it. We call it the cancer killer plant or something like that, something easy to remember.
On the other hand, the other powerful alkaloids that my father worked with, the tree from the Amazon, the Latin name is Gessospermum velozii, and the vulgar name, people remember more, is Pao Pereira. And so this Pao Pereira is coming from the Amazon rainforest, and yield an extract which is rich in flavopereirine, and that's the flavopereirine is the alkaloid which has been studied for also being able to fight a number of cancerous cells, large number of cancerous cells, without toxicity, without side effect, and the synergy with chemotherapies also has been documented.
So Pao Pereira isn't necessarily have to be an extract where they remove anything from it. Is it the whole plant that they use?
They use it's specific. There is a specific extraction procedure from the bark. It is the bark that is being used. Yeah. And so the Revolvia vomitoria is difficult to process because we want to eliminate the toxic molecule, and the Pao Pereira is more difficult to source. So there is no perfect thing to work with, but they are both two beautiful plant extracts. And what we have been able to do is that to study the mechanism of action. And we have seen that not only it's working on different cancerous cells, but there are also multiple mechanism of action. You mentioned apoptosis. Yes, both extracts also induce apoptosis, but also autophagy of cancerous cells and inhibition of
Angiogenesis?
Angiogenesis, that's for ginkgo biloba. But there are multiple mechanisms of actions that have been studied, and all the publications are on beljanski.org.
And didn't you find that when these two plants are taken together, there's also a synergistic effect against cancer that happens?
Yes, because they have similar mechanism of action, but they are not exactly similar. So Pao Pereira, I would say, kills the first generation of cancerous cells, and Revolfia vomitoria prevents the occurrence of a second generation. So it's like a little bit of razor with two blends, and together they are very, very effective. So that's why we are looking into putting those extracts together with the green tea for a new upcoming research project. What we have seen studying Pao Pereira and Revolfia vomitoria, that they were effective against different kind of cancerous cells, and working both in synergy with chemotherapies, but they were also active against cancer stem cells. And that's very, very important, because chemotherapies do not destroy cancer stem cells.
Right.
Cancer stem cells are those cancerous cells within a tumor which are more aggressive than the other cancerous cells. They are able to resist chemotherapy and most treatments, and they stay in the blood. They may travel in the blood and create a new tumor. So that's metastasis or the relapse, whatever you name it, but it means in plain language that the cancer comes back. And that's the biggest fear of cancer survivors. There are more and more cancer cases. We live in a more and more toxic environment. More and more people receive one day or another a cancer diagnosis. The good news is that there are more and more cancer survivors also. But all those people, millions of people, are living in fear, and rightly so, because they receive chemotherapy, and chemotherapy is not destroying cancer stem cells. That doesn't mean that we have out of resources and we just have to live in fear and light a candle and hope for the best. What we have been able to document, study and document and publish about is that those two extracts, Pao Pereira and the Revolfia vomitoria I just spoke about, are both able to destroy cancer stem cells. And we know also that they are not toxic, and so there is no side effect. These studies have been conducted at Kansas University Medical Center, and in vitro and in vivo on mice. And we studied pancreatic and ovarian cancer stem cells. So very, very nice results there. And what we would like to do now is to look at breast cancer stem cells, because breast cancer has become the most common cancer in women, and women are the most common gender now on Earth. About 52% of humans are female. So I think it is time to look at what we can do to prevent breast cancer metastasis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and who knows, that percentage could just keep going up and up if more men are deciding to become women as well. Women could just rule the whole world. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully not.
actually, there is an increasing number of men also who get diagnosed with breast cancer diagnosis.
Right. And I think it has a lot to do with the phthalates and the parabens and the xenoestrogens that are from the plastics and the toxins that are in our environment that are literally causing men to produce more estrogen. I mean, these estrogen mimicking xenoestrogens that are found in our plastics and a lot of the man-made chemicals, we know that they attach to the estrogen receptors in the brain and the body and can produce excessive amounts of estrogen in the body. And we know breast cancer is an estrogen related, not all, but there are estrogen related breast cancers. So I think that's contributing to it, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that as well. I wanted to share this real quick. It's really exciting to find something that is showing success against cancer stem cells, because as you said, if you do chemotherapy or radiation and they don't kill the cancer stem cells, which we know they very often don't. The literature even says it, chemotherapy doesn't kill cancer stem cells. That stem cell will, and very often does, grow more cancer. That's what the stem cell does. It allows more cancer to grow, as you were just talking about, and can lead to metastasis, can lead to new tumors growing. Even if you blast out the cancer with chemotherapy, radiation, even cut it out with surgery, you're still leaving the stem cells there. And so the rate of recurrence, the rate of relapse is very high in certain cancers. For those of you watching, here's the table of recurrence. Bladder cancer is a 50% recurrence rate even after a cystectomy, meaning they literally remove your bladder. You still got a flip of a coin of the cancer coming back. Breast cancer has a 30% recurrence rate. Colon cancer, 17%, and that's even after they do curative surgery, it still has a 17% recurrence rate. Glioblastomas, brain cancer, has nearly 100% recurrence rate if you do conventional therapies.
And I would like to say for glioblastomas, my father did some research on the specific cancer, and Pau Pereira crosses the blood-brain barrier and destroys glioblastoma cancer cells.
Wow!
So that's
glioblastoma
is something that don't get despaired.
Well, and you were talking about the upcoming study that the foundation is doing is on breast cancer stem cells.
Yes, breast cancer.
30%. That's I mean, it's basically 1 in 3 people you go get chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. And 1 in 3 chance that the cancer is going to come back. The other one that you've already published research on was it prostate cancer or pancreatic?
Well, for the cancer stem cells, we did ovarian, which is 80%, and pancreatic.
Yeah, ovarian cancer, 85% recurrence if you do conventional therapy, and then pancreatic cancer, which is a very challenging cancer. Even 1 year after curative surgery, literally they say they cured it with surgery, 36% recurrence, 38% local recurrence after chemotherapy, and 46% distant metastasis after it. It's almost up to 50% recurrence. Again, people go, well, why? I mean, these are supposed to be curative therapies, or these are supposed to, even if you do the chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, and they say, hey, your cancer's gone, your margins are clean, you're good to go, but you don't change anything that led to the cancer in the first place. You don't change the diet and clean up the toxins and improve your lifestyle and start implementing, an anti-cancer lifestyle as we teach through all of my courses and programs and books. And as you talk about in your book, and you don't add in these herbs and supplements and different things that can help your body fight against cancer, your odds of the cancer coming back are so high. We just looked at them, and a big part of it is because you haven't done anything about the cancer stem cells. So this research, you've already shown these plants can help inhibit the cancer stem cells. Now, I was reading the paper, and I don't remember what was the what were the results? What's the conclusion, the results, and the percentage, the statistics that you saw with pulporaria and pancreatic cancer stem cells?
Oh, it's a load. It's killing something like 70-80% of cancerous cells. And when you add chemotherapy, you are in the like 97-98%.
Oh, wow. So it's killing the 70+% of the cancer cells. What about the stem cells?
Well, the cancer stem cells, it's about 70% of the cancerous stem cells which are being killed.
Wow.
In mice, in one experiment.
That was in mice.
If you continue longer, probably you would kill all of them. But we had a 3 weeks program to see.
Oh, that was only in 3 weeks in mice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. That's revolutionary. I mean, this should be on the front page of every newspaper, every magazine, every CNN, NBC, Fox, you name it. Should be shouting this from the rooftops. It's like, look, we have these plants from nature right here that are showing incredible results against cancer, and they don't cost you $10,000 or $100,000 a dose like chemotherapy does, and they don't have any toxicity. This is just, it's incredible.
And with those mice, they were fed the product, which is important because it's a similar route that what humans would do when they take plant extracts.
They weren't injected with it. You're saying they were fed it as
They were fed just like you would take pills with a plant extract.
Like a capsule, for example.
Yeah,
that's exciting. Yeah, I'm excited about this breast cancer research project. If it comes to show as we believe it will, that it also inhibits breast cancer stem cells. I mean, breast cancer, unfortunately, is the #1 cancer of women. And if we have a natural resource for helping, basically fight against and even kill the cancer cells and cancer stem cells, that's accessible and affordable and non-toxic, and it shows that it can help stop the cancer stem cells in breast cancer, it's huge. Millions and millions of women can benefit from this.
Because as you said, 30% are going to develop metastasis if we do nothing, but 100% live in fear of metastasis.
Yeah.
So it's actually 100% of those women that we can help by giving them the confidence that there is something they can do to avoid the metastasis to happen, rather than sitting like a lame duck.
Yeah. Now I know the conference that we're producing coming up is the Beljanski Integrative Cancer Conference. It's a nonprofit conference produced through the Beljanski Foundation, the nonprofit that does the scientific research. The proceeds from that conference are going to help fund the breast cancer stem cell research project, which is exciting. So people who want to help support that cancer stem cell research with these natural plant extracts, you can support the conference by attending the conference, which you will learn so much about integrative and natural and holistic solutions for cancer from leading edge doctors from all over the world and cancer conquerors and survivors. You can attend it in person, or you can get a live stream ticket. You could buy live stream tickets, and for other people as well, you can attend the gala dinner, or you can just donate to the mission, to the cause, and to the foundation, and those funds go to actually making this research project happen. So that's you can find out more about that at integrativecancerconference.com for the conference. And then there's a link there you'll see to the breast cancer research project for people who want to learn more about that. I recommend people go take a look at that, integrativecancerconference.com. I want to talk about some of the green teas that your father studied and that you've continued to research through the foundation. Because we know green tea has, incredible benefits for longevity and immune enhancement and anti-cancer properties. But your father studied a whole bunch of different green teas, right? And then the foundation through your work have also compared to other different types of green teas and found 4 specific green teas to be the most effective against cancer. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So back in the 80s, the green tea was already well known for the antioxidant properties, but it has never been really studied at length for cancer. My father was invited to China, to go to China for some research program. And at the end of the trip, he was presented with a big box of the best Chinese green teas, a little thank you gift. And when he came back to France, he went to the Pasteur Institute and he tested with the test he had created to test molecules for their anti-cancer properties, anti-cancer potential. He tested all the green teas that were in the box. And he selected 4.
You cut out there for a second, but what I think you said was he selected the 4 that he found out of all those teas he tested to have the most anti-cancer properties, right?
Exactly. And he was very busy at the time. That's when he started to have some problems with the French government. So he put this piece of paper in a drawer, and the piece of paper remained there until the French army came to raid the laboratory. And then the piece of paper fell on the floor. It was left there until the secretary came to clean up a little bit the place. She found the piece of paper. She says, this may be useful one day. She puts that in a box. The box goes into a garage for almost 20 years. And then they decided that they have enough, paid the garage for long enough. They don't need it anymore. What to do with the box? And I received the box in New York. And I opened the box and I found this piece of paper with my father's handwriting, the list of the teas, and next to 4 of them, très, très anti-C, which in French means very, very anti-C. And knowing my father, anti-C could only mean anti-cancer. So what does it mean? Actually, in scientific terms, very, very anti-cancer. This is not something measured. This is how much is very, very. So we decided to make a mix of those 4 green teas that my father had selected. And we sent that to Kansas University Medical Center along with a sample of Lipton, of Kusmi, and of Bigelow. And we asked them to compare on different kind of cancer cell lines. There was breast, of course, metastatic breast cancer. There was colon, bladder, and 4 lines of melanoma. And it turned out that the mix of green teas that we actually called oncotea was most effective than all the other teas on all the cancer cell lines. So indeed, that's what my father called very, very anti-C. And then we had, some data at some point of comparison. So what we want to do with cancer stem cells is to mix the Pao Pereira extract, the Revolvia vomitoria, and the green tea extract, because an extract of those 4 teas, together. And because we think it's going to be the most effective weapon to fight breast cancer stem cells.
Hey, I just want to pause a second and ask you, are you enjoying this episode so far? Are you getting good value from this content? If so, then I know you're going to absolutely love Healing Life. At healinglife.net, you get exclusive and premier access to hundreds of the top world's doctors, experts, cancer conquerors and survivors, exclusive interviews that I have done with all these experts and doctors, that are not available for free online. They're only available at healinglife.net. So not only do you get access to all of those, but you actually get to speak with these doctors and experts and ask them any question you want about health and healing. And this is available exclusively to Healing Life members. You can try it out for free. Go to healinglife.net and you can start your free trial there. And whether you're interested in learning more about detox or cancer, diet and nutrition and nutritional science, about diabetes, about heart disease, autoimmune disease, anti-aging, longevity, all of these topics are covered in depth, and more are continuing to be added at Healing Life. And again, you get to talk to these doctors yourself. So I invite you to set up a free trial at healinglife.net, and I hope to see you over there. Now, let's get back to the show. The pancreatic research that was done included those teas with also the pulmonary and the Revolver vomitaria as well?
No, for the research that we have done on pancreatic and ovarian cancer stem cells, we studied separately Pao Pereira and Revolver vomitoria. So we have publications on each of them. We never mixed the extracts because scientists do not like to mix. They like to know exactly what is active and then study the specific mechanism of action. Very often, I mean, conventional scientists will say, no, you cannot really study natural plant extracts because there is a mixture of alkaloids, and they want to know which molecule is actually the one which is active. In this case, we believe that it doesn't matter so much. I mean, if it is a Pao Pereira, the Revolver vomitoria, the green tea, which is going to be the most active, or if they are going to work in different mechanism of action. What we want to see is results and help women. And we believe that we have 3 good plant extracts, which all 3 of them have a good history, scientific history showing activity against breast cancer and breast cancer stem cells. And that's why we have decided to mix them for the first time and try to provide women with something that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You've already studied each one of these ingredients individually. So why not mix them together and see what happens with the thought and the intent that there's going to be a synergistic benefit that happens from using them together. So, of course, it makes clear logical sense. It'll be really, exciting to see what the results show. If it actually improves, if it's similar to past studies, if you get like a major synergistic blend, synergistic thing that happens, is there some unknown side effects that you don't know about? Highly unlikely, because none of these have side effects by themselves anyway. Yes. Right? So, but the 4 types of green tea, right? That I think that's important that people know those types of green tea is gunpowder, dragonwell, Ceylon, and Bi Lao Chun, right? And all of those are organic, by the way. None of them are conventional. They're all organic.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to avoid pesticides and also stuff that actually are known to induce cancer. So, of course, you have to if what you take to help you fight cancer is not organic, then you get it all wrong.
Yeah. So how has it been for you taking the helm of your father's research, going through that whole traumatic experience of seeing all his life's work destroyed by the government that he was even trying to help, seeing his lab destroyed and his research destroyed, and then him, shockingly dying shortly after that, never getting his day in court. And then here you are, taking on this battle. I mean, how has that been like for you?
I was terrified. I did not know much about those ingredients, except that the government did not want to hear about them. They did not want them, and they were willing to kill people who were trying to develop that. So it was really, really scary to make the decision to carry on. It was also very scary to make the decision to leave my job as a lawyer and trying to make devote my life to that without knowing if I could make a living. So it was scary, but I always felt that it was the right thing to do. And that was actually a feeling strong enough for me to know right away. Actually, I did hesitate for 30, 40 seconds. And then I knew that that's what I wanted to do. That's what I was going to do. And this decision was made in 98, actually, right after my father's passing, that I was going to carry on and devote my life to that. And I have absolutely no regret. Absolutely no regret. I have to say that I've been very lucky to be in the States. What I am doing now, it would never been possible if I had not come to the United States. But the American system is not perfect. There is a lot of censorship sometimes against, especially dietary supplements. A manufacturer is not allowed to make any health claims, even if they have been documented, because that could transform the product into an unallowed drug. But it's still heaven compared to Europe. So I think I'm very grateful for what America gave me, the opportunities I have had to work with a number of American institutions. I have seen scientists, when you remove the political layer around the name of Beljanski that you find in France, there was no problem. I found scientists to be really open-minded, to be really genuinely interested, to be the first to study the effectiveness of those compounds, for example, on cancer stem cells. They love to be the first one to publish on something new. I had no big problem in America. It has been now almost 25 years. And America has been really the land of opportunity for me and for the Beljanski Foundation. And being able to do this conference in Jacksonville, and in 3 days with the best speakers, the best experts, sometimes coming from around the world, from clinic in Germany, for example. I think that's very, very exciting, and it shows that here a lot of things are possible that would not still be possible in the States. So cherish this freedom, cultivate it, because it's not a given.
Yeah, I mean, that's really refreshing to hear, and shocking at the same time. I mean, I grew up in the United States. I've been here my whole life. I've visited a few other countries, but I mostly know the United States. And this kind of jaded perception that I and many others have today is, that especially now that we've gone through this whole COVID period where we saw mass censorship, we saw firsthand, the government lying to us and silencing hundreds of doctors and scientists who were speaking out against, what the mainstream public was being told about COVID and the shots and the effectiveness, and basically being lied to, and feeling like, man, we live in a place that, yes, I love our freedom here, and I love so much about the United States. That's why I still live here. And at the same time, I feel like many of those freedoms are being taken away right in front of us. Our ability to to share truth with others is being censored and taken away. Our ability to make certain choices for ourselves and for our health is being taken away. Mandates are being put in place. My big concern is for my children, right? Just for them to go to school. We have to go to a doctor and get certain letters and things like that to allow them into school, because we don't want them getting these certain shots that are being mandated to kids to go to school, and on and on and on. So it's like part of me as an American who's lived here my whole life, who has seen this ever since, I turned 18 and got interested in natural health and started researching and experimenting. So over 17, 18 years now in this space, feeling like, yeah, there's a lot that's being taken away. And yet then to hear you and your dad's story and what you went through and then come here and to be able to do what you've been able to do so far is definitely refreshing and amazing and incredible to hear. I mean, I don't take this freedom for granted. And in fact, I do think more of our freedoms are being taken away if we don't actually stand up and do something about it.
It is really, really important to keep fighting for them. It's not granted. We have to be vigilant every day and trying to push gently the envelope every day to make sure that there is no encroachment into our freedoms, because indeed there is a big consolidation between big pharmaceutical companies, tech companies, and government, and they speak between big entities, and then everything which is not in the room between those big people tends to be crushed. Because it's all about them, and they have the power to rule the world. So why wouldn't they? But if we want to continue to exist, if we want to be able to continue to say our truth, we have to do it. We have to exercise it, and that's why I do believe that what we are doing at the Beljanski Foundation, which is speaking about science, having a good quality science and speaking about science is so important, because, speaking about published peer-reviewed publications is still allowed. As long as you do not make a link with a specific product, a specific brand, it's still allowed.
It was allowed until COVID. And what I saw, at least on social media, what I did, and so here's what I started doing in like 2020, 2021. I was sharing peer-reviewed science, and I would find a journal, I'd find an article, and I would report on it, and I would talk about it, and I would do a video about it, and I'd put it up on my social media about this study that was done a decade ago in a university that showed masks literally had no benefit against a respiratory illness from the kids in the university who wore masks from the ones who didn't wear masks. And I didn't say, masks, I said, here's a study that shows that masks in this case didn't work, et cetera, right? So I did a study, I shared a study on that. I shared, studies on things that are peer reviewed, and didn't say that they, this study proves XYZ about COVID or whatever, right? I was just sharing these studies. And by sharing those studies, because they insinuated and would make somebody believe, an intelligent person logically believe that, oh, this same thing happened here. Well, it's very unlikely that it's going to be different over here. Just because it was that close, they shut down my YouTube account for 8 months. They deleted multiple Instagram accounts. They put me in Facebook jail, and that's all I was doing, was sharing studies. So that's my concern, is up until COVID, we've been able to, and now it's like we're kind of in this, we're treading thin water right now, but it's great to see somebody like Bobby Kennedy out there who's running for president, who can actually now finally have his decades of research and experience be shared publicly to millions and millions and millions of people, because they can't shut him up. You know, he's running for president. They can try and censor and shut him down, but there are too many big podcasts. You know, the big interview he did on Joe Rogan was fantastic. I encourage people to listen to that. But, you know, I don't know if you saw recently, but Peter Hotez, who's, you know, a top leading quote unquote expert on COVID and COVID vaccines, and you know, has called out Joe Rogan and Bobby Kennedy for misinformation and you know, misleading people. And so Joe Rogan said, "Hey, Hotez, I will give you $100,000 just to come to my podcast and debate with Bobby Kennedy." And Hotez said, "No, I'm not." Basically said, "No, I'm not going to do it." So something like a dozen other, you know, multimillionaires and billionaires, including Musk and others, have put up hundreds of thousands of dollars each, now putting it to over $2.5 million in the pot to go to Peter Hotez or basically his charity of choice, just to show up at Joe Rogan's podcast and debate Bobby Kennedy about COVID and the shots, right? And he still won't do it. That's got to tell you something. It's got to tell you something. Why he doesn't have to prove anything. All he has to do is show up and he gets $2.5 million, but he won't do it. And yet they will still come out and try to censor people who are saying anything otherwise and shut down accounts. And, you know, we're in a really dangerous time right now.
The people who, I mean, as you said, your YouTube account, your Facebook account, all that are private companies and they are doing the bidding of the government, but they are not the government. They obey to different rules which belong to private companies. So they do basically whatever they want. In fact, they are doing what the government wants. We all know that.
Yeah.
But that's how it works. At another level, I mean, if there is a free platform of social media, or if you choose other ways to communicate at the level of the FTC, I mean, you can still speak, I have to say, about research.
Yeah. Well, and that's one right we need protected, you know, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
We need that right protected, 100%. And if we start giving that up, you know, people today who are out there promoting censorship and say, "Oh yeah, you should ban," I don't care what you think about Donald Trump, but banning him from Twitter and saying, "No, you should not have him on there. He should not be able to speak his mind." It's the most insane, stupid thing you could ever do, because if they do that to him, for whatever political reasons, or they disagree with him or don't like him or whatever, the next person they can do it to as well. And then they can do it to you. So the moment that you want to shut somebody up, unless they are really very specifically, you know, causing true danger and harm to others, if they're just speaking their mind, we need that. We want that. You want to be able to see what people are speaking, so you go, "Oh, that guy's actually very stupid. I don't want to follow him." You know what I mean? Or that guy sounds really, really smart and intelligent. I want to learn more about him. We need both sides of that. You know, I was talking with someone the other day, and they're like, "Oh, they should." You know, these guys were driving up and down the street, the trucks all front end all jacked up, and big loud exhaust and bumping music, and it was really obnoxious and annoying, and I didn't like it, and he didn't either. But he's like, "Oh, they should arrest all these people and get rid of this right now." And he was all pissed off. And I'm like, yeah, but if they're following the law, which I didn't know, but I think they were, then they are exercising their freedom of choice, their freedom of expression, their freedom of communication, whatever that way that is. We may not like it, but the moment that you want to censor them from doing something that isn't harming other people, then you're opening the door for that to happen to you, for things that you like to do that others don't like. And so
and then we end up being all the same, living all the same. And there is one way of life, one way of thinking, one way of everything, which is the one which is, and everything else is banned, forbidden, and we live in a jail.
Yeah, I mean, you know, China's an example, Russia's an example, you know, where your opinions and thoughts if you have any dissent against the government whatsoever and what they're doing, they can take serious action against you and make you disappear or shut you down from society. That's not what we want here in the United States. That's not what we stand for. We need freedom of speech, and we need freedom of research into natural products as we're doing. So that is exciting that we can continue to do this research and help spread it and share it with doctors and scientists and people all over the world. I mean, that is really, really exciting and something to be grateful for. So what's your dream for the foundation? Like, what's your big vision? Like, what would you love to see happen with all of this research that's going on through the foundation?
Well, what I would like to see is more people to be informed about this research and take advantage of those results. I would like to see integrative medicine becoming more mainstream. I would like to have more people wondering why they have cancer. In conventional medicine is about treating the symptom. When it comes to cancer, it means cutting the tumor. They do nothing indeed about why the tumor came in the first place, and they do nothing to prevent the tumor to come back after they cut it. So I would like to have more people wondering about those issues and taking action and seeing less cancer around us. It's going to be more and more difficult. I mean, what we see also in the food revolution, the tech revolution, where they are trying to give us now to feed us with insects, which are going to be filled with parasites and things like that. It's going to create more issues, vitamin deficiencies, and so on. It's going to be very, very difficult to become healthy and to stay healthy, and having a good knowledge about natural resources and what we can do at our level without taking drugs all the time is getting more and more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And cancer is primarily a preventable disease. If we take care of ourselves, if we eat a healthy, whole food, nutrient-dense diet, if we get exercise and sunshine every day, and we sleep 7 to 9 hours of good sleep each night, and we reduce our toxic burden, we add in some of these natural plants and extracts and teas every day, we know that most cancers can be prevented. I mean, over 95% can be prevented. We know that over 95% are not even hereditary. They are diet and lifestyle. They go beyond genetics. So education is so important, and not only education, but then actually doing something about it, sharing this with other people, taking action, making the changes in the diet and in the lifestyle, adding in the plants into your life, and just simple things. I mean, it's amazing how simple it is to actually be healthy, and yet how confused most people are. And I think most of that is just because of profiteering corporations. I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's really what's confused people more than anything.
And people need to be educated about what is good and healthy for them, because indeed the advertisement of corporations makes everything blurry.
Yeah, and it's like there are good companies making profit, doing really good things for people, and then there are companies that are basically killing people slowly. And that's when I say profiteering, by the way, I just want to clarify for people tuning in, it's like I don't have any problem with companies profiting, but when I say profiteering, I mean it's the companies that are making massive amounts of profit off the backs of people, off of their by actually causing more harm in their life than good. And we see that again and again and again.
Sick for life and clients for life. Absolutely.
Yep. So, well, I love what the Beljanski Foundation is doing and has been doing. I think the work you have stepped into as your life calling, furthering your father's research is not only courageous and incredibly brave, but very honorable and necessary and important. I'm honored to, consider you a friend and colleague and be a part of this mission with you. And
I am very grateful that young American like you, a new generation, gets involved, aware of this research and involved into promoting it and making this new project happen. I'm extremely grateful because otherwise, I tried to carry on and other generation after my father, but if a new generation like you is not ready to carry on, it will end up with me and with my efforts. It's going to be the end of it. I will not be able to carry on forever. So I am really relying on a young generation like yours to understand what this is about, the importance of this research and carrying on with the message. So I'm very grateful to you.
Yeah, well, I'm honored. And I think, as I've said before, science is kind of the modern language. It's the language of our modern day. So it really helps support the things that we may intuitively know or that our ancestors have known for a long time. The science helps support that and back it up. So I think that the foundation will continue this work, hopefully for generations, and we will move this natural education into the mainstream. So millions and millions and millions and millions of people know that this exists. So again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Nathan Crane Podcast. Please make sure to subscribe and share this on social media. Then head over to nathancrane.com for your free ebook.
So when we're talking about, what are these underlying causes and conditions of these chronic diseases, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, they all have very similar, if not identical, causes. And that's the thing, is when we get to the root cause of these diseases, we can not only prevent these diseases from ever happening, but empower our bodies to heal from them.
In every one of our cells, we have tens and hundreds of thousands of chemical reactions that are happening every second that are cycling back and forth. And it's like sort of a yin and yang.
And, for me, the soul's purpose is evolution. It doesn't care about comfort. It cares about evolution. And so I think so long as we are following our soul, then we will evolve. And I think what sometimes blocks us from living our purpose, from manifesting that next level of our expression, is we have not evolved.
There is also a time for letting go all the expectations and relax and just breathe and be grateful for what you have achieved.